everybody. I would like to say welcome to the Grow 570 Recovery Podcast. I'm your host. My name is James Snowell, and I decided to open up the platform to bring a guest in that's a really good friend of mine. Not only that, I just recently got an opportunity to sit down and hear his story. He's actually from the Schuylkill County area, and a lot of people that are from that area actually know him very well. I'm gonna let him introduce himself. I'd like to open up the platform to my man, Geoff. Geoff, how you doing?
Doing good
today. Thank you first off for being here and just having the opportunity to be on the podcast. So I would just like to say, just try to introduce yourself, just to let people know, who you are, and where you have came from so far.
Yeah, my name's Geoff Gordon. Grew up in Pottsville. My sobriety date is April 4th of 2018. So just celebrated 8 years.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here for the first time, first podcast, first guest. So very honored. Thanks for inviting me and get to tell my story.
So Geoff, to get my audience familiar with you, what was it like for you, being in high school?
Definitely like a class clown. Definitely like a jock. Played sports, baseball, football. Was a very outgoing person. I am a very outgoing person. Talk to everybody, did the bare minimum for grades just to be able to keep playing sports.
Okay.
Definitely a class clown for sure.
Take us on a journey on what it was like for you basically after high school. Working on your next step after the process of either graduating from high school. Where were your next steps basically after that? Like, did you go to college by any chance, or did you, decided to work? What was your kind of like your next steps after that?
Yeah, so definitely my junior year, I thought for sure I would definitely play football for like Thaddeus Stevens trade school. I knew I wanted to do some type of trade. And I wanted to continue to play football. So I knew working them both together, I can accomplish that. But some stuff transpired through my junior year and into my senior year that I was no longer playing sports my senior year. I was suspended from the football team for the year. So when that happened, I kind of lost any type of recruiting that I might have had to go to Thaddeus Stevens was a school at the time. That changed my plans a lot. So then when I was graduating, I just came right out into the working force.
Okay.
That's kind of what I did. As soon as I got out, started working 7 days a week, pretty much like normal people in Schuylkill County. When you don't go to college, you go to work.
Mm-hmm.
And just started that journey in my life that way.
So from basically you getting out, basically finding, a job and, the addiction, like where did it sneak in at, or where did it seep in at? The beginning stages.
The beginning stages, I'd have to go way back.
Okay.
Probably to when I was between 9 and 11. I was actually at my uncle's wedding, and at that time I was, between 9 and 11.
Okay.
I was running around drinking the bottom of everybody's beer. Everybody thought it was funny.
Mm-hmm.
Uncle's giving me shots and stuff. Sure. And that was my first blackout, was around that age. And when I woke up the next morning, I really didn't have a hangover. And
wow,
I knew it's pretty crazy, but I remember the feeling that I had that night never left me. And not having the hangover or having any type of consequence from drinking like that, it just showed me that this is something normal that I can do.
True.
So it kind of started then when I was that age. And then through my older teenage years, it was smoking pot, drinking, from Pottsville, Scoop County, bush parties all the time, every Friday and Saturday. So it was definitely the bush parties and then smoking the pot, and pills kind of came in too when I was younger, Vicodin, Percocet. So it wasn't really, it was manageable at that time. I don't really think it was an addiction then. It was just partying.
Yeah.
Because as I thought, I still was going to school, still maintaining grades, and I always had a philosophy: if you work hard, you should be able to play hard.
Sure.
It wasn't until everybody went to college when I got introduced to college parties, and that's when the harder drugs kind of stepped in. With the first one would definitely be cocaine. Was a big one for me for a while. That kind of ran through my 20s, and then it just progressed each year, each day, and so on.
That's crazy. It's sort of similar, to me, because that's honestly how I started off too, was with cocaine too. That was huge because you always thought, like, even though you were coming down from it, you always thought, like, I'm not going to be addicted to this. There's no way. Like, it's just a great feeling. This could go away.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But us as addicts, we always get caught up, in the situation, especially when we had that, instant gratification of what we wanted and needed. You know what I mean? So from that point on, from, just experiencing a little bit with cocaine, when did things, just started slowly taking a turn to going towards, the harder stuff that in life, you know what I mean? Especially with, drugs, especially.
Yeah. I always call it that imaginary line that we drew in the sand. I'm not, because in high school I made fun of people that did the harder drugs.
True.
And it's funny how life comes full circle pretty quick. Because I always had that line drawn in the sand that, well, I'm not a drug addict or a junkie if I don't do cocaine.
True.
Well, when I did cocaine, I just pushed that line back a little bit, and it was like, well, at least I'm not doing it every day, or I can still manage to go to work and function and everything. But it took a little bit until, I just became a ghost, basically. My work definitely started to suffer. I wasn't keeping good jobs. The relationship with my family was deteriorating because, when you're partying and on that kind of stuff, you're not thinking of a family and stuff. You're just kind of thinking of keep partying.
True.
That's really what it comes down to. But I always pushed that imaginary line further and further back, or if I didn't draw it, I just jumped right over it and made myself a new line.
True.
It wasn't, it's kind of hard to tell exactly when it transitioned from coke to meth. But that definitely, I remember one time I was out at work and we were using at work. I'm not going to say my business or anything where I was working at the time, but
that's cool.
The one guy said to me, because I had that line drawn for meth, like that's no, I can't do that. But he presented it to me like this. It's kind of funny at the time, thinking about it now, but he said, you're just driving a Cavalier right now. Why don't you try driving a Ferrari? Jumping from coke to meth.
Yeah, I know.
But, hindsight, you wreck a Ferrari at a high speed, it's kind of, it's bad.
Cool.
It's bad. So going from that coke to meth, definitely, I felt that Ferrari type aspect to it. And I always worked 7 days a week, 10, 12-hour days. I learned very quickly on meth, man, you can work.
What? True.
whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to work, you can do it.
Pretty much.
So I worked a lot like that. And then it wasn't until I was in a pretty bad car accident in December. And once again at work, I was presented, why are you doing it this way? You should try smoking it. And that there was that line again. And that was kind of like my last line. Like, if I cross this, like, now I think like this is junkie behavior.
Yeah.
But like most addicts, we can't say no so many times.
True.
I do remember trying smoking meth for the first time, and it still makes my hair stand up and give me the goosebumps because
You said that twice now.
yeah, because my first exhale of hitting that pipe for the first time, I knew my life was over. And it was basically no social life. I quit going to work. Thank God my wife, God bless her, she definitely was always there for me, giving me the push to get clean and stuff. And my first couple times to try to get clean, I did for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Try to please everybody else. Go to rehab for 30 days and get an oil change, so to say.
Yeah.
Come back out and never last more than
Couple weeks.
hours sometimes.
Damn.
Yeah. First rehab, it was only hours that I lasted, honestly. And I left that rehab thinking there's no way I'm ever going to use again. But reality, you keep yourself around certain people,
It's gonna happen.
you're gonna, it's a definition of insanity.
True.
Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a big part of it. People.
From that point on, Geoff, so I basically want to see and find out, and my audience would love to find out too about, you said that you had a great time, during high school, whatever, and you dipped and dabbled with cocaine and it eventually worked over, to meth. What was basically, your rock bottom?
There's definitely I always say like I definitely hit my rock bottom, but like it kind of happened in phases.
Okay.
The first phase was the isolation of everybody, living in a basement, kind of pissing in laundry detergent containers because wife drug tested me and I don't have to take a piss. So I'm just going to hide out in the basement and piss in Gatorade bottles and whatever. And not working was another part of it. But the single most moment that I have.
Take your time, buddy. Take your time.
Yeah.
Take your time.
It was around Christmas time, and I love Christmas, love it, love being around family and everything. And my wife was upstairs sleeping, and I was using on the couch. And I always told her that I never smoked it. She knew she wasn't dumb, but she never physically caught me in the act, which is probably the only reason why we're still married to this day. But she was upstairs, I was downstairs using on a couch, and I had heard her starting to come down the steps, and I remember hiding the pipe in between the couch and the cushion, and she knew it. She knew where it was, but she couldn't. She found it, but I blamed it on one of my friends that was in the house earlier, and I told her I was like, "I'm done. I'm not doing that anymore." It was a very emotional moment for her and me, and I remember saying, "I'm done using it," and she went back upstairs. And I don't even think she was all the way up the steps, and I was right back at it. And I remember sitting there like, the fuck are you doing? Like, I had felt like, now this is it. I'm a junkie now. Like, that, and going to, shortly after that, I went to my second rehab, and using while my mom took me to the rehab.
Mhm.
I used the entire drive with my mom, and my mom is, yeah, I'm a huge mama's boy. I love my mom. She always had my back. And I would never let her see me like that, and her seeing me like that, and like me being okay with doing it in front of her, like
Yeah.
that was, I knew like my life had to change, and I had to do something about it. So it was kind of them kind of moments, that happened to me, just not having anybody, and realizing where my life is projected to go, and
Okay.
it's in the ground shortly, because there was plenty of suicidal thoughts and everything, but it was them two moments definitely were the biggest ones for me, that kind of like my rock bottom.
It's we. Yeah, that's powerful, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's seriously really powerful because you almost got me choked up. I'm being serious. Uh, with you telling it. With that, whole process, being done and you going through that, I basically want to, continue on. Was there other things also in your, life that you felt like you were going through that kept you in that situation? You know what I mean? Because for us to get to the point of view of why you're here now, we have to talk about like certain things that I think my audience would be intrigued just to hear the power, and not only that, the strength that you have, just with you being you. Not only that, I think the situations that you've had been put in your life gave you the strength to be here today to do what you're doing today. So I kind of more or less want to touch on like certain things that, happened to you that a lot of people really don't know, you know what I mean, about you. And like I know you've had a lot of traumatized things happen to you that, a lot of people really don't, understand. And I just want to see if you would be able to touch on it just a tad bit.
Uh, yeah. So, like I said at the beginning, I celebrated 8 years. I think that's early recovery for myself. Maybe
Yeah,
some people think that's a lengthy time.
yeah.
Um, but my early days were definitely the hardest. My first, I'll say year to year 3 or 4. Um, I had come home 6 months clean, from a sober living in California after 2 months of rehab. So that's why I had the 6 months, and coming home, my wife was pregnant, and we were expecting our first son, which we were ecstatic for. That's the only thing I kind of ever wanted to be, was a father and a husband, and finally it happened for us. And um, during the delivery, some stuff, kind of happened, kind of went south there a little bit. Um, but our first son was born. I'm sorry.
That's cool. Take your time.
Yeah.
Take your time.
Yeah, our first son was born, Elliot, uh, my firstborn son. Had some stuff go on with him. He spent 7 days in the NICU. We had him home for a day. Um, some stuff started to look like it was he wasn't acting the same as he was throughout the day. Um, Ended up calling the hospital, rushing him down to the hospital. Uh, so he ended up having 2 strokes at some point. So they wanted to transfer him down to CHOP, um, Children's Hospital, Philadelphia. So we went down there. When we got down there, we were kind of given the news that our son was only alive on a ventilator. So we were given some options: give him medicine or try surgery, which they weren't going to do any type of surgery, or make that that ultimate decision of
Yeah.
of thinking about his quality of life. And at first we chose to do the medicine, to try to help him, but we weren't really grasping the situation of how severe it was. It took a couple hours of my wife and I talking, and me having a discussion with the neurological doctor about, what is his quality of life if the medicine works. And he gave it to me, in the vegetable state with just the ventilator keeping him alive. And at that time, the first time in my life, I had to make uh, a selfless decision,
Mm-hmm.
nothing to do with myself, just on my son.
Like I said, buddy. Take your time.
So we eventually made that choice of taking him off the ventilator, and letting him go. That was, I celebrated a year in April. My son was born May 21st. So I was on that high of becoming a dad, first year clean, like actually clean for the first time in my life. Things were going great. And then that happens. And I remember driving home from CHOP, and I called my sponsor and I said, you know what? I'm fucking done. Done with sobriety. I'm done with recovery. If excuse me.
No, you're good.
If this is what recovery has for me, I'm not interested in it. I don't want it. I know how to make things disappear quick.
True.
Feelings.
Yeah.
I know how to bury feelings really quick and,
Yeah.
and never wanting to feel them. I know how to do that good. And my sponsor said, okay, have a drink when you get home. Let me know how it goes. Hung up on me. And I remember being so mad at him for not like, he wasn't like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. He gave me that slap that I kind of needed. And coming home, I didn't do anything. We didn't do anything for like 3 days, man. We were just laying in bed, the wife and I, and just, we were devastated, and took me about 3 or 4 days to hit a meeting back to my home group.
Yeah.
And I remember going into the meeting like, if I don't get what I need out of this, I'm out of here. I'm done. I'm just gonna run away and live the life that I thought I wanted to live, But what I found in that room was total support. And I found out like people go through stuff. There was other people in that room that had lost kids and stayed sober through it. So it definitely gave me the fire that like it's a bad situation, but we can get through it. And I just wanted to be there for my wife, because my son being 7 days old, I really didn't get that whole bonding experience, like my wife got to. But yeah, it was definitely that was the first year. That's what I went through the first year. And then, we had lost our house after our son passed because I wouldn't go back to it. I just his room was all set up, everything was ready to go waiting for him. So I never went back to that house. So I ended up we moved back in with my parents. Like there was definitely a rocky road there where financially I didn't know what we were going to do. I had just started working again right before my son was born. I didn't go back to my job. I kind of just really focused on my recovery, and thank God to my parents, my mom and dad for always having my back. And no matter when I need help or what I need help, they are there unconditionally. So I really focused on my recovery, doing a 90 and 90, doing step works with my sponsor, getting out, speaking, talking to people. Service work was a big part of my thing too. Chairing meetings, making coffee. And then going into year 3, one of my closest friends and somebody that I always looked up to, man, always wanted what he had, always wanted to work like he worked. Chuck, my best friend, I always called him like my brother too. I was working for him at the time, and he ended up getting sick with pancreatic cancer, and he worked through it as best as he could. I worked with him until the very end, but he ended up passing too.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so I had to deal with a lot of death early in my recovery. And somebody once told me, whatever you struggle with the most feeling wise, early sobriety is going to get you really good at it.
Yeah.
And grief was something that I always dealt with. Well, I never really dealt with it until I got clean. Somebody passed away that was close to me. I wasn't going to funerals or viewings. I was just partying and just burying that feeling as deep as I could.
True.
And then deal with it later. So when he passed, I and with my son passing and him, I for the first time in my life, I was grieving. What I call, healthy. It's okay to cry. You know what I mean? It is. It's okay to cry. I know as men, when we're younger, it kind of gets engraved in us that men don't cry, tuck your feelings away. Nobody gives a fuck. Just put your boots on and go to work and, deal with it. But for the first time, I'm dealing with it healthy, crying about it, talking to people about it, being there for people that are going through it too.
True.
It's numbers, people and numbers definitely helps a situation, makes it feel a little bit easier. And then I think it was about 6 or 7 months after that, my sponsor had passed away. And he was somebody that I always looked up to too when I was younger. My dad, I love my dad, and I got to thank him for where I'm at today too, because he played a huge part into it. But when I was younger, he worked 7 days a week. My mom was handicapped, so she couldn't work. So my dad just worked 7 days a week. He worked 2 jobs, so we didn't really get to do the things that some kids get to enjoy with their dad. Well, my sponsor at the time, Jim, he was the guy that stepped in. That's the reason why I love the outdoors. He took me fishing all the time, camping all the time. So it's just somebody I really looked up to, and also as like another father figure, somebody that I looked up to. When I got clean, when I was out in California, I had found out that he was also in recovery, which I never knew there was a problem there, because during my addiction, I didn't talk to him. You know how it is.
Yeah, true.
You cut ties with people that you don't want to see you like that. So how do you do it? You just cut them off. But once I got clean and found out he was in recovery, I'm like, well, there's nobody that's going to sponsor me that he's the one I want. So called him, he ended up sponsoring me, and it's such a blessing. Like, I wish I would have got cleaner sooner, because with my best friend Chuck and with my sponsor, I would have had more time. But for some reason, God works in mysterious ways. I'm just thankful for the time that I did get clean and had the time with the people that I cherished. I love these two guys, and when they both passed, so back to back to each other, it was definitely a hard time for me. But I knew I had to stay clean through it, because not only would I be letting myself down, I'd be letting my entire family down, and it's not the life that I want to do anymore. So I just, I did the old school mentality, man. I got up in the morning, put my boots on, went to work. Hit as many meetings as I could. My meetings, I don't hit as many now. I have a very great balance in my life, I believe, with recovery, work, family, Geoff time. So that was kind of year 3 and 4. and 5, but 6, 7, and 8 have just been kind of that uphill battle
Yeah.
now.
That's kind of like where we're headed. You know what I mean? Because you
Yeah.
went through, you know, some pretty crazy stuff. And I'll tell you that, Geoff, I commend you so much because like you stayed positive in recovery in those first couple of years. You've been through some life changing and life, you know, altering situations to where, you know, that right there can just take you down right back down the same path. But I think whatever happened to you made you realize your worth. That's more or less where I want to get to now is your strength on to keep going and
Yeah.
to keep believing. I know us personally, just talking, you said you didn't have, you know, no belief in God, you know, in the beginning of the situation because of certain situations that
Yeah.
happened in your life. And you told me that, you know, since things have changed for you and, you know, things have gotten better, you know, you started giving, you know, the Lord a try. And for the most part, I see that it's done positive things, you know, for you just to
For sure.
have him, you know, by your side. Like I always say, I can't do it without him. I'm being serious. And when I got sober, that's one of the main things I told myself was, you know, if I don't have God next to me, I don't have nobody. So I'm just going to be out here like how I
Yeah.
use him, just butt naked, just thinking that I can do everything by myself.
Yeah.
And it's not like that. Like I definitely need to get up in the morning and I definitely need to pray and I definitely need to be grateful and thankful for every single day that he gives me.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that right now, you know, in your life, I think that's, you know, what you're seeing.
Year like 5, 6, 7, maybe even I'll sprinkle 4 in a little bit
Yeah.
because I had worked through the steps earlier, year 1 to like 3.5 I worked through the steps then. But year like 4, 5, 6, 7, I really honed in on certain steps. And not only that, but I definitely they were the years because I was told in the meetings that I go to, you know, I'm very, you know, I'm always at all the meetings, certain ones that I hit very religiously, and the people know who I am and they're friends of mine. Most of them I call like my family because
Mhm.
I know I can call them at any time and they're there for me when I need help.
Okay.
So um they were they were the years that I homed in on some of my steps that I really wanted to work in on. And not only that, but the service work definitely increased. I started to get to tell my story in certain places, multiple rehabs, um, some other like not full blown rehab facilities, tons of meetings. You know, I get to give back now. They were the years that were definitely me giving back, and I still give back to this day. But they were the years that I really picked up on giving back because I saw what was given to me,
Mhm.
and for the first time in my life, I had gratitude.
Yeah.
It's a big word.
Yeah.
And my gratitude list when I was younger was all material bullshit. Um, like today, and what going through them years of recovery and step work and just doing that service work was my mental health. For the first time I was comfortable in my own skin.
True.
I can look in the mirror and say like I love you.
That's
And
true. That's
genuinely mean
yes.
that shit. And that I from like when I was like 7 to like when I was 32
Yeah.
was a time period of I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I wanted to do, who I was. I felt empty.
Yes.
But them years definitely molded me, I think, into kind of who I am sitting here with you today.
Mhm.
Giving back as much as I can and just enjoying life too. Like I enjoy life today. I don't have to wake up and figure out what quest I got to do today to get high or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm there for my family and stuff. And the whole God thing too, like I never was a disbeliever of God, but I had resentments against him for certain reasons.
I get it.
the poor me bullshit sometimes. Like, why is this happening to me? When it happens to millions of people, you just feel that type of way.
True.
And the whole thing with my son and everything, I finally kind of accepted, the bullshit in my life it's life. It's life on life's terms. And the favorite thing my sponsor used to say to me, and he's probably laughing above us right now, it is what it is.
Yeah.
That's a saying that I hated.
Me too.
Hated it. And he would, any opportunity he had to say to me, Geoff, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Was like, you're fucking right. You're right.
It is.
So it is. It's life. Life's not fair. Life's not easy. But if you just keep your nose down and grind it, if you do the next right thing, usually the next right thing happens back to you.
Usually, and not only that, I feel like if you do the right next thing, the next right thing will do right for you. You know what I mean?
100%.
I feel like that's when they say about washing each other's back. If you wash this person's back, they'll wash your back.
100%.
I feel like it's the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I'm not a holy roller thumper. Like, I go to church occasionally.
Yeah, me too.
But my prayers, everybody knows the foxhole prayers. If you don't know what a foxhole prayer is, that's when you're driving down the street and the cop's behind you and you ain't got no license, no registration, you got drugs on you, and you say, God, if you please don't let him pull me over right now, I'll never do this again.
Yeah.
Tomorrow you're doing the same shit. So the foxhole prayers of, God, do this for me right now and I'll never do it again, knowing it's bullshit.
True.
To waking up and saying, God, no matter what today throws my way, just give me the power to get through it. I don't get on my knees. I don't have a designated area. It's just somewhere throughout my morning routine. I read step one, and then some point I'm just like, God, whatever today has, just let me get through sober. And then at night, when I'm done my day and I'm kiss the family goodnight and when I'm ready to lay down, it's thank you for today.
True.
And let me wake up tomorrow morning. That's where my relationship is with God today. And I don't pray for myself. I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
I pray for other people
True.
who are going through stuff. I don't. Jeff's okay.
That's what I say.
I'm worried about other people, and I'm praying about other people. So that's definitely where my relationship with God is today. Like, I know He's there, and He's got my back. I may not go and have to go worship somewhere, but the relationship that I have with Him today, that's the relationship I have.
And that's a good thing. And I'm glad you spoke on that, because a lot of people think, you know what I mean, when you go to rehab or you go to recovery, they think like you're kind of like shoved. God's like shoved in your life. It's not like that.
It's not like that at all.
It's just I think it's an understanding of who your God is, and you can, like you said, like you can do it any which way you want to. Whatever makes you feel comfortable, then that's how you do it. Like a lot of people aren't going to understand your, journey. They're not going to understand why you're, they were like, oh, Geoff's being crazy again because he's talking to himself. Yeah, before they probably would have believed that, but not like now they're probably looking at him like, oh, he's probably just praying to God. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is a good fact for people to see you, like that, because that really, changes the fact on how you see how your life's going. My thing with that is I'm just so glad that you touched on that, because a lot of people, especially with them hearing, about God, a lot of people take it the wrong way, especially when it comes to us, especially in recovery, because they feel like it's pushed on to us.
Yeah.
I feel like you have an awakening, and when you have an awakening, He kind of like appears some way, somehow. It's not just us. Like, He's there.
Yeah.
Like, it's certain things just don't happen in your life without Him being there.
Yeah.
So my thing is, with all this stuff that's going good, right, in your life, everything, do you have any certain feelings, or do you have any certain urges to go back or to use again?
Uh, Not really. If I do have an urge, I don't even call it an urge anymore. It's just a passing thought.
Okay.
It's not so much with meth or the harder drugs like pills or coke or anything like that. It mostly happens with like alcohol.
Okay.
With drinking, because for a while there I thought I didn't have a problem with alcohol.
True.
I'm from Schuylkill County.
Yep.
I drink. I go to bush parties. I have fun. Mind you, the DUIs, the blackouts, all that kind of stuff, tells me, I have a problem with alcohol, because not every time did I drink, I got in trouble. But every time I got in trouble, guess what?
I was drinking.
I was drinking.
Yeah.
And that coming home, my first rehab, or my second rehab, I was drinking, but not using the drugs.
Okay.
One night I got drunk, ended up calling for a bag at 3 or 4 in the morning, and then there. So that's when I said, I do have a problem with alcohol. That would be the only time where I'm like, it's hot today, man. A beer would be nice. But
Yeah.
I remember that last time where I was drinking and it leaded to a bag.
Yeah.
I don't get to the end of the bottle. I get to a bag very quickly. So, and my wife's very good at reminding me like where I go. Like she's like, oh yeah, well, why don't you try smoking meth too? So she's very good at pointing that out, and she's good at reading me. Like she knows when I need a meeting if I haven't hit a meeting because we've been doing stuff or whatever. But it's more of like just a quick passing thought, and it doesn't happen often. Like I can probably count on one hand the last 2 years when I really had like a solid type of thought about it. But no, I can't imagine. I play that tape through. You hear that.
Yeah.
And play the tape through. Yes, that first drink's going to be great.
Yeah.
But the 10,000th one's just not going to be enough.
Yeah.
So, and where I'm at today in life, like the people I have around, I can't.
You just can't take that next step.
I can't take that next step. No, because not only that, I will have so much grief against myself from letting people down. Like one thing I hold dear, and I don't even think I ever told my wife this, but when we were holding our son as he was passing, I said to him, I'm going to do.
Yeah, take your time.
I'm going to do everything I can to stay sober.
When you said that to your son, I know you really meant that. And I know you hold that very, very, very close to you and dear to you. I mean that. And not only that, I want you to continue to keep that, close to you, and always remember, why you started this journey. So with that being said, what are some of the reasons why you want to stay clean? Or why do you continue to stay clean? What are the reasons, or what are some of the, ways that, you stay clean? A lot of people, like, especially I get a lot of people that will talk to me like, James, how do you do it? How do you do it? I know you were touching on it, say you did 90 to 90 and stuff like that. But for a regular person, like just being out here, just in the streets and trying to get to the next step where we're at, what are some of the things that you can, try to give advice to people to order to either get clean or to stay clean?
First thing is, as a man, it's okay to ask for help. We can't do this by ourselves. So what I would say is reach out to somebody that that has some time, and work a program.
Yeah.
I've tried many different ways. Geoff recovery,
Yeah,
it doesn't work.
No.
So, I when I was out in California, I did every type of program there is, because out in Cali, the sobriety and that type of recovery is huge.
it's just different.
So I worked all types of programs, Celebrate Recovery, Smart Recovery, AA, NA, Crystal Meth Anonymous, Heroin Anonymous. Like there's so much out there. And I found like that family kind of atmosphere in AA. That's why when I came back, that's the program that I chose to work.
Mhm.
That's the main driving force of how I stay clean, is staying in touch with that program. Um, there's a lot of different ways I do it. I'm here today, on telling my story and talking about my experience, strength, and hope. I do it elsewhere. I chair a meeting and hold a meeting every Wednesday night. And just my phone is always on. If I'm always constantly looking to give back to the next person. So if you're somebody out there looking and don't really know what to do, just ask for help. It's okay to ask for help.
True.
It is. That's another thing that's ingrained in us at a young age. Like you can do it yourself. It's you don't have to ask for help. It's embarrassing to ask for help. It's
True.
not. I'm not afraid to ask for help at all today because strength in numbers.
Yep.
It's that strength in numbers. So that's kind of how I stay clean. I work a solid program. I don't work a program. I work the program that works for me. It may not work for everybody else,
Yep.
but once you come in and kind of get a feel for what you got to do to stay clean, you'll find that balance, I call it, of recovery and everything else in life. Because early recovery, it's got to be recovery.
Yeah.
Nothing else. Everything else is on a back burner.
True.
It's solid, just you and recovery. Because what I found out too is I can't take care of anybody else unless I take care of myself.
Yeah, you already know.
So once I started taking care of myself, everybody else benefits from that in my life. So I had to be selfish for the first couple of years because without that program, I'm not here sitting today.
Sure.
I'm definitely dead at this point, because especially what these streets got going on now. I was a heavy user. I'm not alive today.
Yeah, no, because there's way too much.
No,
it's way too much.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself in? Where do you kind of see yourself in 5 years from now?
It's funny because I have a 5-year plan. I'm on year 2.5 of it. But I eventually want to start my own sober living hoses.
Nice.
School County doesn't have any.
They
have halfway houses and stuff like that. So I eventually want to get into that realm of sobriety and sober living house, because what California taught me is how to live. A halfway house, they got their own issues, but how a sober living house should be run is how I think what was done out in Cali. You work a program, but you also get to live life. You get to go out and live life and learn how to be a functioning adult again. A normal working part of society. That's my biggest goal right now for 5 years, is by 5 years to have at least one sober living house.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. And, just be the best dad, husband, brother I can be. That's kind of my goals.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's crazy because your 5-year goal is my 10-year goal. So that's pretty crazy. That's funny because I feel like, Schuylkill County, Columbia County, like they just don't have.
No.
They do, but I feel like the resources that people need to be successful in recovery and sober living and stuff like that is just not presented. Let me first off by saying I commend you first off for coming here and speaking very highly and just telling your story, bro. Like it's been remarkable. Like you got me in tears over here. I'm serious, but I love it because that's how I want to be brought to it. I want to be brought to tears. I don't want like this situation to be, just something that people just sit back and look at and say like, oh, well, he's just a regular recovery show. It's not.
Yeah.
No, I want to get to the real conversations, the real situations, and the real problems of stuff.
Yeah.
So what that, being said, I just want to kind of wrap it up and say, again, I appreciate, you being open with your story and just telling it. You give a lot of people hope. You give a lot of people strength, seriously, from all the stuff that you've been through in life.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, like you have no clue. Like that's the reason why I needed to have you on the show, is because so people can see that you do get strong.
Yeah.
You're only weak for a certain amount of time. That's only because you put that drug in your system.
Yeah.
Like you're an empty vessel. You're an empty shell. And the more drugs you put into it, you're going to keep emptying yourself.
Yeah.
By the time you get done taking them drugs up out of your system and you start putting in real stuff in your life, without hope, I just feel like you're paralyzed, man. And that's just me being, me. And I really do, believe in it. To my audience, the one thing I want to let you guys know is if you're struggling any aspect of any point in your life, I also want you to take a look back at this episode as the beginning, because I want my stuff not only to be good, but I want it to give you power and strength to get up, to fight, to move, to inspire, to do whatever it takes to help another person get to where, I'm at, or to get to where Geoff's at, or to get to where somebody you may know or love is at. That's the big thing in this whole situation, and that's where I'm trying to get at. Geoff, yeah, this has been fun. It's been great, and I'll be honest with you, Geoff, I just want to say, thank you for being the first person to come on the show. Not only that, and being the first person to tell your story on the show. This will forever go down in my book as being one of the most grateful things that I've ever done in my life. I'm being serious. Like I told you when I started this, my biggest thing was I wanted to save 1,000 lives. That's my biggest thing.
Yep.
And I would hope that you can join me as being, a person, and not only that, a friend. You know what I mean? Pretty soon, I'm just going to consider you family, because that's honestly how I feel. Because, your story is powerful, dude. Not only that, it's strong. So your strength will help me. You know what I mean? Like for you telling your story, it helped me. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. So I only can say thank you. And hopefully we get an opportunity to not only do this again, but just to check up to see where you're at in like the next couple of years. But in the meantime, bro, I want to say thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on the show, man. Listen, my name is James. Just please know that I'm truly grateful and thankful for everything that you do, help, whatever the case may be. And if you know somebody that's in need of anything, speaking, talking, a visit, whatever the case may be, make sure to hit me up. If I have anybody that could help you out, I promise I'll do my best to send them in your direction.